Welcome to Salcedo Paranormal. It is Tuesday, June 7th, 2022, and tonight I will be sharing true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all the episodes of the podcast, along with links to social media, ways to donate, and ways to contact me at the podcast page, which is salcedoparanormal.podbean.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.podbean.com. Always happy to hear from you all, whether you have comments or questions or topic suggestions for shows, or if you have stories of paranormal experiences, whether they're your own or others that you trust. Happy to either read those or have you join me on the show to talk about them. And so tomorrow will be another book review. So getting back into Lovecraft. So that'll be fun. And so I think that covers everything for now. Thank you all for listening, whether it's to the live streams or to the podcast feeds or the YouTube feeds. Really appreciate it. So let me get to the stories here. And we'll begin. So let me see here. Okay, this one says, I don't really know what to call this. A glitch, a time slip, or just a weird coincidence. I'm really not sure. I'm from the UK. I am a 27-year-old woman, and this happened in 2010 when I was 15. And I remember it as if it was yesterday. Here's my story. My mom, grandma, and a friend and I all went to a local coastal town for the day. Somewhere we had been many times before, at least 3 to 4 times a year. Because we have family who live there. Ever since my mom was a child, we have always traveled the same route through the countryside rather than the motorway, because we like to stop off at what we call a halfway house to grab a sandwich on the way there and a drink on the way back. We always stop at the same places because it's just part of the routine and what we have always done and enjoyed. On this particular day, everything was normal. We had driven to the coast, stopped off for a sandwich. The sun was shining. It was a normal, lovely day. However, on the way back was when it got weird. We set off mid to late afternoon because we wanted to miss all the evening traffic and to make sure my friend got home at a decent time. This journey felt normal. We traveled on the same roads as we always had, and we're planning to stop off at the usual pub for non-alcoholic drinks. In the space of about 5 to 10 minutes, we noticed the weather had really changed. It had gone from being a glorious, warm, sunny day to being gray, overcast, and quite cold. We didn't think much of it, and then my mom said, "Oh, I don't know where I am." Confused, we just said she must have taken a wrong turn, but she was adamant that she has been on the same road for the last 8 miles, a road we had traveled countless times. We wondered if the road had been altered since the last time we visited, because now none of us recognized the road or the surroundings. We looked for familiar landmarks that would hopefully guide us in the right direction, but there was nothing but fields for miles. We began to notice that the road we were on was very quiet, and we seemed to be the only car driving along it. Nothing had passed us in what seemed like ages. My friend and I began to get anxious because of how weird this felt, and we were worried about being lost. My mom calmed us down and told us not to worry, and that the next village we drive through, we would pull over so she could set her satellite navigation up. In 2010, phones didn't really have maps or anything yet. Not like we do today, anyway. About 10 minutes later, we saw a couple of houses in the distance. As we approached, we noticed there was 2 semi-detached houses and a small farmhouse and a yard, and an old-fashioned level crossing for trains, and a pub. My grandma suggested we pull into the pub so my mom could set up her sat-nav and we could have our halfway drink while we were there to help calm our nerves. We entered the pub. It was empty except for an old man in a rocking chair in front of a burning fire. He stopped rocking the chair abruptly and stared at us as we walked in, as if in shock. He was wearing brown work trousers with braces, black boots, a cream shirt with a knitted vest, a flat cap, and was smoking a pipe, as if he stepped straight out of 1910. He didn't speak, just stared. We approached the bar. The barmaid and/or landlady was walking behind the bar and halted in her tracks as soon as she saw us. Again, as if in shock. We asked if the pub was open due to it being so quiet, and she stuttered, "Oh yes, yes it is. What can I get you?" We all asked for soft drinks, my friend and I being underage at the time, my mom being the driver. The lady scrambled around, getting us the drinks, and then looked baffled when we tried to pay with bank cards. She used paper and a pencil to add up the cost of our drinks, so we paid with loose change to make it easier for her. To the right of us was a narrow staircase, and down ran a little girl around the age of 7 or 8. She was wearing white tights, brown shoes, and a burgundy pinafore style embroidered dress with a hand-knit cardigan, and her hair was in ringlets. She gasped and also looked surprised to see us, and looked between us and the lady behind her, behind the bar, presumably her mother. We thanked them and took the drinks outside to one of the wooden tables. The man in the rocking chair began to rock again and watched us intently as we walked out. We sat down outside and with hushed voices spoke about how weird that whole situation was. We noticed how there wasn't anyone else around, no other cars in the car park, no other people in the pub or beer garden, and no people walking the streets near the houses. The place seemed deserted, abnormally quiet, and stuck in time. As we quickly finished the drinks, a man in a van pulled up, got out, got a pickaxe and spade out of the back, and looked over to us and said, "Oh, visitors," and went inside the pub. We got back in the car as quickly as possible and left, and within a matter of minutes, we were on a road we all recognized and the sun was shining once again. The whole thing was so bizarre and unbelievable. It's all we could talk about for the rest of the journey home. We were trying to understand the situation. The unrecognizable roads, the old-timey clothes, and the overall feel of the place, and how the people reacted when they saw us as if we were aliens. So that's my story. The memory of it all is still so clear, and I will never forget the expressions on their faces. We still talk about it to this day, 12 years later. All our memories so clear. It was possibly the most strange experience of my life. And I feel like I want to share my story to get others' opinions. And if anyone had experienced anything similar. So, that is quite the story. Some things kind of stick out together. And yeah, it's hard to say if it was a time anomaly, but as APOC was mentioning there just in the chat, I don't know. There are things that point to it possibly being that, the way the people in that place reacted. I wonder if it was because of clothes that just seemed too different. Or maybe, who knows, maybe if it was some kind of a, who knows what the people in the story, the writer and their family and friend, I wonder if they looked strange to the people in other ways. Either as shadow figures or as they looked almost like ghosts, maybe transparent, translucent. And of course, the whole thing with the bank cards, that I'm guessing debit or credit cards, not the owners not being familiar with those cards, not apparently having any devices to accept those cards. So, and then just the feeling. So, oh, okay. I'll have to look into that. APOC says, I've had a lot of small town weirdness. You could do a show on that. Yeah, that seems like something that could be fun to look into. But yeah, and then the way they got lost and then found the right way again, just even though they were on the same path that they always took. So, but that's an amazing story there. So many things. If it wasn't paranormal, if it wasn't weird in that way, then it was still just strange in the way that people reacted to everything. I think. So, I feel like it was something paranormal in one way, but who knows what way or what ways, for sure. So, yeah, so that's the first story here. And let me get to the next one. One is fairly short compared to the first one. And there's actually a few stories here today that take place in the UK, actually. I just realized that now. But this says, this happened, oh, and this one here I want to say real quick. This is, I'm just going to say this is could be seen as a cautionary tale of what not to do in certain situations. So you'll see what I mean, I think, when I read this. This says, this happened back on the 27th of December, 2019, between 1745 and 1800 hours. Now they're using the 24-hour cycle there. I live in the UK, but I'm of primarily Irish heritage on my father's side, and my family has been living in the locale for roughly 4 generations. Anyway, there's a hill I had to walk up after work to get to my home. And at the top, there's 2 Victorian lampposts. On the right are a couple of houses alongside the steep embankment where a tarmac understory, I'm not sure what that means, and it was at, and then to the left were woodlands, mostly oak and beech. Anyway, at the lamppost closer to me, I could see a figure struggling to climb it. At first, I thought it was a rat. I'm short-sighted, wasn't wearing my glasses. But as I got further and further up, I'm guessing you mean as it got further and further up, it started to look more and more humanoid. I'm in shock at this moment, and a bunch of correlations come into my mind, and then it rests on fairy. I laugh at it due to the absurdity, and I literally shouted at it because I was just in disbelief. 2 seconds later, this clap or bang or explosion goes off at the back of my head, and it knocks me to the ground. I just start running and get out of there. I had no bumps or injuries on the back of my head, and the sheer force of it is just unexplainable. I honestly would have shrugged off the event if it wasn't for that. I've shared it here to see if I'm either incredibly lucky I got out of that alive and unscathed, or if there's other undocumented stories like this. So there you go. I read that and then thought that was a amazing story there. And in a way, I guess everyone reacts differently to seeing weird things, but just I guess just be careful when you're seeing strange things. You might not want to, if you can help it. You might not want to laugh and then shout at whatever you're seeing. Especially if you think it might be a fairy or fae, anything like that. So, I need to do a show on that at some point as well. But yeah, so sounds like this or whatever this was may possibly heard the writer here and did something, possibly, and kind of just to get the guy's attention, the writer's attention. I don't know if it was a guy or not. Get the writer's attention and say, "Hey, stop it." So, yeah, really wild story there. So, but let me go on to the next one here. So again, like I said, that one I just consider it to be a case of you might not want to do this if you can help it. So, anyway. So this next story says, every once in a while, I'll see a tall, dark, old man in my closet. It's not scary, but more comforting. He doesn't look old, but has the feeling of an older person, if you know what I mean. Last time I saw him was when I went through a particularly rough breakup. He kind of reminds me of my deceased grandfather. He's never moved or tried to communicate. He just stands there from time to time. And that's the end of that one. I find that one different in a way that a lot of times you hear these stories of closets and whatever is in closets, and it's so often it ends up being, or at least seeming, negative. And so this one is different. And I like that because of my own experiences. As I've said before, I had someone that liked to just like to stay in my bedroom closet. Now I use my bedroom for storage. But someone that liked to stay in my bedroom closet at night. I'm not sure if they were there all day or not, or if they just came and went. But they were there for a long time, and all the time I ever, every time I ever went in there and I felt anything, it was always never anything negative. It was just a feeling of I don't mean you any harm, just leave me alone, and that kind of thing. And then eventually it left. Whoever it was left. So um, so I like that story in that way. Yeah, I don't know. Apoc says no closets, please. Yeah, yeah. It's definitely that makes it that changes the. I think that changes the situation a bit when it's someone or something in your closet that you you obviously know shouldn't be there. So, but uh, but yeah. So I had that experience, and I'm very lucky. Um, that it was not negative. Something being sneaky, Apoc says. Yeah, I don't know. But so anyway, that's that story. And let me get some water real quick, and then I will get to the next story here. So one moment. Okay, I'm back. All right, so this next story says, since moving into my house, things have been going missing more times than not. Simple little things, like a cup of coffee, a remote control, my phone, and others, only for it to appear in an almost too obvious place. Now I can accept that maybe my eyes are just getting older and things are blending into their scenery. Yet this is happening way too much. And not just to me. My girlfriend is noticing it too. We spent more than an hour looking for something yesterday that ended up being right in front of us. And yeah, I can accept the possibility of just overlooking the obvious. Yet I was just looking for something. I said out loud that I appreciate the hide and seek with household items. I wonder if they mean did not appreciate the hide and seek with household items. And then what I was looking for just happened to be on the counter the whole time. I think it's silly, yet spooky. In the end, I'm probably just overlooking things, and so determined to find them that they are invisible at first. So, um, I understand the writer wanting to explain things away, and I do think sometimes we misplace things and then find them. Um, but I also think there's more that goes on as well. Just some experience with that kind of thing. So, um, amazing story there. That's it's happening a lot. I don't know. House goblins, Apoc says. Yeah, I don't know. Um, I always, whenever things like that happen, I always wonder, especially with the technology, what is there someone or something that is interested in technology that they're not familiar with, so they take it for a time to check it out. I also wonder, and this doesn't say this in the story, but I wonder how often when these things, these technology, these devices are, they go missing and then are found. I wonder how often they are completely drained of power. Um, that might be something to look into, maybe. Um, because that could indicate some possibilities as well. But it doesn't sound like it's just devices either. A cup of coffee. Now that one, That one is odd in a way because that's not just a cup. That's liquid inside the cup. So if that thing is being carried around or moved around, that would indicate either, I don't know, some kind of technology. Um, okay, and so I don't know. So yeah, neat story there. So, but so yeah, that's uh, that's not the only story that involves technology tonight, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but it is one of them. Let's see here. Okay, yep, that's the next one I'm thinking of here. So yeah, neat story there. And annoying for sure. It can be annoying when things go missing, but in the larger scheme of things, um, well, it's possible. It's something I definitely want to look into more. So, but we'll go on to the next story here. I've got two more for tonight. This one says, while looking for a reasonable mini vacation, my fiance and I booked a hotel in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Not being too picky and having a busy week prior to visit, we didn't look at many pictures or reviews before going to this location. I just want to stop there and I'm just wondering, have they not heard anything at all about the area being a major paranormal hotspot? That's just that's one of the things I'd like to know in a way. Because if you're not into any of this stuff, I guess I could see maybe not knowing about that. But um, just a thought. Anyway, go back to the story here. This says, we checked into our hotel Friday night. The lobby was neat and outstanding. The receptionist gave us our key card and directed us to our room. The hotel room itself was older and run down, but the lobby was beautiful. After putting away our suitcases and belongings into the room, we decided to dress up for dinner. I looked down at my phone that was on a table. My phone unlocked itself and started to open and close all of my apps. It opened and closed everything within 5 or so seconds. Randomly, and with exception, my phone opened. I don't know what that means. My phone opened a picture of my father, who recently passed. I was putting makeup on and glanced down at my phone as this was happening. After being in shock, my fiance and I left the hotel for dinner. On the way to dinner, the first song to come on my phone with Bluetooth in the car was Don't Fear the Reaper." Coincidence or not? After the trip, I did some research, and the hotel was a Civil War hospital for the wounded. My fiance and I will definitely do our research next time we book a hotel. I've always believed in ghosts, but I'm in shock that this happened. Thought I would share. So, again, the technology. Um, so I don't know. Say my name, huh? Okay, Mike, I can do that. Um, but yeah, I thought that was a neat story there in a way. It's almost like, and of course we don't know who or what, but someone was going through the phone trying to figure it out, and then eventually found what they were looking for. Now, who that someone was, I think it's impossible to know, but but very odd experience there, but also happening in Gettysburg. Again, anyone that looks into this stuff knows that's a major hotspot because of the the American Civil War battles happened in and around that area. So, um, but yeah, neat story there. Oops, okay. So I have one more story here to share, and then that'll be it for the night. Let's see here. Just gotta find the beginning again. Okay. This one says, I'm a 32-year-old male, and I've always been logic, science, and materialist oriented. I deny anything's existence without solid, demonstrable proof. But when I was 13, I witnessed something that haunts me to this day. I was over at my friend's house, and his whole family was extremely superstitious. He tried to claim his house was haunted, and I proceeded to condescendingly tell him how ridiculous of a proposition that is. Ghosts don't exist. Only a minute or so before this, I had set a cordless landline phone down on its base incorrectly by accident, as in backwards, so it was not charging. Mid sentence, as I'm acting like a condescending jerk to my friend, telling him not to believe in things without evidence, the phone I set down incorrectly started to rattle slowly on the base, then more rapidly, until it flew up 2 feet in the air, flipped over midair, and slammed down hard on the base. I immediately tried to blame a gust of wind, but the windows were closed. It couldn't have been an earthquake. We would have all felt one powerful enough to do that. I've thought about this event a lot over these past nearly 20 years, and I absolutely cannot explain where the work energy came from to lift the phone that high off the base. And it's quite a coincidence that the only physics anomaly I've witnessed in my life just happened to occur right as I'm verbally denying the existence of ghosts. Basically, I'm forced to accept there are forces out there that we just have zero awareness of. And if I hadn't witnessed this with my own eyes, and someone told me what I've written here, I can guarantee that I wouldn't believe them. And I probably would have ridiculed them. Now, when people tell me ghost stories, I'm inclined to believe them, lest I'd be a hypocrite. So, I love that story. I'm going to say that real quick. Because of just the way things played out in that story. That I love that one. This person, and I understand the point of view, but this person saying, "No, this stuff is not real. This is all just people imagining things." And it's what was Mike doing at that house? Um, but uh, yeah, I'm here from the chat. I love it when people experience new things that bring them to that question. What else could I be wrong about? Yeah, and I just love that the title that they used in the website was actually physics anomaly. That's what they call it. They don't call it a ghost or a haunting or but no, it's a physics anomaly, which is true in a way. I just all the stories I read, I'd never seen anything like this referenced as a physics anomaly. I'm not picking on the person really at all. It was just amazing. Um, I like I said, this story cracked me up. So yeah, I had to share that one, and I'm glad that one worked out as being the last one for tonight because whatever this stuff is, um, it's out there, and I think there are too many people that have too many experiences across time, across the world, for it all to be fake or misunderstood, misidentified, or misunderstood. Um, so that's my view on all that. Could be wrong, but I feel like even if there's only a small percentage, and that could be of these stories that are actually real, there's still something there. So yeah, that'll do it for tonight. Thank you all for listening, and I'll be back tomorrow night with some reviews on some more Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft stories. So and that'll be fun. I did some listening over the weekend and had some synchronicities with another show and Triple Minds Radio regarding those stories. So I may talk about that as well. So thank you all, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow night on the next episode of Salcedo Paranormal. Take care.